In order to operate safely, a pilot's hearing acuity must be to the required standard. However, there is no worldwide standard for hearing. In the USA, the Federal Aviation Authority does not require audiograms as part of the commercial pilot medical. A spoken test is adequate, whereas in the UK, the CAA require audiograms every 5 years up to the age of 40, and thereafter every 2 years. The allowable losses in hearing by the two authorities are shown on the screen. You will see that the CAA standard is higher than that of the FAA. But, though hearing standards may differ, the basic hearing test is the same everywhere. That is, the ability to hear clearly a person speaking behind you at a distance of 2 meters. The degree of hearing loss is categorized as mild, moderate, severe, or profound. On an audiogram, the vertical axis shows the volume of the sound in decibels that can be heard, while the horizontal axis shows the pitch, that is, bass and treble that can be heard. While some hearing loss is acceptable in a pilot, the allowable loss is limited. The shaded area represents the sounds of the human voice and is commonly called the speech banana. Normal hearing means that a person can hear a sound with a volume as low as between 0 and 20 decibels. This audiogram shows the left and right ear hearing of a person with normal hearing. Both ears can hear very quiet sounds, indicated by the 0 decibel line. Both ears can also hear these sounds from a very bass pitch, indicated by 250 Hz, to a very high pitch, indicated by 8000 Hz. Mild hearing loss means that sounds quieter than 21 decibels cannot be heard, and that both ears must be able to hear in the range as low as 21 to 40 decibels. Moderate hearing loss means that sounds below 41 decibels cannot be heard, and that both ears must be able to hear in the range as low as between 41 and 70 decibels. Severe hearing loss means that the person cannot hear sounds quieter than 71 decibels, which is conversational speech. Both ears must be able to hear in the range as low as between 71 and 95 decibels. Profound hearing loss means that a person cannot hear sounds quieter than 95 decibels. So, a person shouting cannot be heard. Hearing loss is described as being either conductive or sensory neural. Sensory neural deafness results from damage to the neural receptors of the inner ear, namely the hair cells and the organ of Corti, the auditory nerve, or to that part of the brain that receives the sound information. Sensory neural deafness is usually permanent. It can be congenital or caused by illnesses, such as measles, strokes, high blood pressure, or diabetes, and by loud noises. Getting older will also cause the loss of some sensitivity in the hair cells and basilar membrane, especially in the higher frequencies, such as the sounds s and th. This loss of hearing through aging is called presbycusis. There is little that can be done directly to prevent sensory neural deafness, except where the cause is loud noise. Noise-induced hearing loss occurs when a person is exposed to a burst of exceptionally loud noise, such as an explosion, or, as is more likely, to long periods of loud noise, such as in the workplace or listening to loud music. Obviously, the louder the noise and the longer the exposure, the higher the risk of hearing loss. Remember that sound is nothing other than a pressure wave. In noise-induced hearing loss, there is typically a greater hearing loss at 4 kHz, which is in the higher range of the human voice. The sensitive hair cells can be damaged irrecoverably by exposure to loud noise, as the pressure wave pushes them over too far and too often. They cannot regrow. The loss of hair cells can also result in a loss of lateral inhibition, so that surviving adjacent cells and nerve endings are not controlled by the missing hair cells and fire spontaneously. This is one explanation for the condition tinnitus, or ringing in the ears. The deafness caused by loud noise may be temporary or permanent. In temporary threshold shift, such as one might experience after a loud rock concert, hearing is lost at a higher frequency than that which caused it. The greatest shift or loss is in the 3 to 6 kHz band, but it soon returns. Although in the meantime there may be a tinnitus-like hum in the ear, due to the hair cells continuing to fire as if still stimulated. Permanent threshold shift is obviously more serious. It occurs again mostly in the 3 to 6 kHz range, and is usually as a result of long exposure to noise. What then is the danger level of noise to which a person might be exposed? In the UK, the Control of Work Regulations 2005, which are based on a European directive, states that a worker must not be exposed to a daily or weekly exposure level of greater than 87 decibels during an 8-hour period. Exposure to noise levels above 87 decibels may cause hearing loss. For JAA exam purposes, 90 decibels is currently regarded as the upper limit. Note that there is a trade-off between decibel levels and duration. This table gives an indication of how this trade-off works, based on the principle that doubling the noise pressure increases the decibel figure by 3 decibels. So if you double the noise pressure level, you must halve the time exposure to remain within the safe limit of noise exposure. This table shows the decibel level of some common sounds. The second type of hearing loss is called conductive deafness. Sound from outside the ear is conducted along the auditory canal, through the eardrum, and across the middle ear bones to the inner ear. Any damage to this sound conduction process is called conductive deafness. Conductive deafness may be caused by illness, such as a heavy cold, or by a physical injury, such as pushing a cotton bud into the eardrum during enthusiastic cleaning, or by an accumulation of wax. In the middle ear, if the ossicles are damaged or lose their hinge movement, conductive deafness will ensue. The cause of such damage is usually illness or a blow to the head. The aviation environment can be very noisy. For example, a jet engine can be measured at 130 decibels, and a piston aircraft at 120 decibels. Hearing protection is essential, and it is simple to achieve by using ear protectors or by moving away from the source of the noise. Noise attenuating headphones are also very effective. They operate by continuously sampling the noise in the headphones with a small microphone. The signal is then inverted in phase and reintroduced, with the consequence that the original sound is greatly reduced, by around 8 to 14 decibels. Let us look now at the other function of the inner ear, which is to provide us with our sense of balance or equilibrium. We can divide this function of the ear into two areas. The semicircular canals deal with angular acceleration and stability, while the otoliths sense linear acceleration, and so help prevent us falling forwards or backwards. The semicircular canals and the otoliths are collectively known as the vestibular apparatus. In between the semicircular canals and the cochlea is a central area called the vestibule. The otoliths are located here. The semicircular canals join into it, and the acoustic nerves exit from the vestibule, taking the messages from all of the inner ear to the brain.